Hello, and welcome to this second edition of Your Schools. This is a wonderful program where we share with our community all of the exciting and wonderful experiences that our students are having in our four schools: Carl D. Allgrove School, R.D. Seymour School, East Granby Middle School, and East Granby High School. Today's edition features two of our phenomenal staff persons. We have with us Stella Ross, who is the Director of Curriculum and Professional Development. And we also have with us Susan Cavanaugh, who is our elementary level curriculum consultant. Both of these wonderful, dedicated, committed persons will be sharing with us information about the very rich and challenging and rigorous educational program that we have here in the East Granby Public Schools. Our host for this evening is Michelle Holt. And Michelle is our Board of Education Secretary and is going to engage these two ladies in this wonderful conversation about our educational program. So Michelle?
Thank you, Dr. Mahoney, and I'm very excited to be in another edition of Your Schools. Again, I find this program just going to be a wonderful addition to getting information out to our community. So just wanted our chat this afternoon to be very casual and get to know the folks that are kind of behind the scenes. I think curriculum, is obviously, the core, of what we do, but sometimes your faces and your names don't get out into our community as much as teachers and principals and things. So Stella and Susan, we'd like to just start off with, if you could tell us a little bit about yourselves, your background, where you're from, what you, what makes you tick.
Susan Cavanaugh, and I'm a curriculum consultant now in East Granby, which is a wonderful place to be at this time in the history of education. And I have 20 years, my background is teaching, so I had about 20 years of classroom experience, 11 of that in elementary, first grade and kindergarten classrooms. And I taught in different places in the United States. So I started out in Massachusetts, then I taught in a really large consolidated school system in the Midwest where we had 12,000 students, very different from East Granby. Then I had the opportunity to work in a university lab school in Illinois, and then went back to Connecticut, and I taught in West Hartford, and now I am serving as a curriculum consultant.
Wonderful. Yeah. Susan, we're really pleased to meet you. I know I've known you, but
yes,
to have you, for other folks to get to know you too. And so Stella, tell us a little bit about you.
This is my 17th year in education. It was a career change for me. Prior to coming to East Granby at the end of 2009, I had worked in two other districts teaching middle and high school science, which I love. In a previous life, I started and sold successfully a small business in the computer field, and I also was executive director of a nonprofit.
Diverse backgrounds and come from different types of schools and different backgrounds. That's wonderful. Well, I'm glad that we could get to know you too, Stella.
Thank you.
Vision and goals are something that drives everything that we do here in the school system. And if we could maybe share with us a little bit about in what ways the vision and goals that you guys have in the curriculum department that are align with the district's focus this year. Give a brief summary of that.
I'll be glad to do that.
Sure.
East Granby's focus areas are very closely aligned with my own vision of what students should know and be able to do when they cross that graduation line. Our students need to be competitive in a 21st century global marketplace. We need to offer a very rigorous program of studies. It needs to be very fluid, meaning it needs to evolve to meet the needs of today's learners. The work, the curriculum work of the district is never done, and in this district, we stay light on our feet. We anticipate changes in state mandates, in the adoption of standards, and we begin to think about, have conversations about, and consider what changes need to be made before before they come law. We don't wait for law to dictate what we are going to do in our district in order to meet students' needs.
Kind of staying that step ahead of the game, and as far as what the needs will be, and just what makes sense for education. Susan, do you want to add something?
I think when I work with the elementary students, and my office is in Algrove with our youngest learners, and looking at those little children as they come in the door and imagining what they will be like in 12 more years, 13 years. And when I look at them, I think about the kind of growth that they will make. And I like to imagine them as lifelong learners who are leading healthy, productive lives, communities all over the globe. I expect the students who leave here will be in any number of places as adults. I expect them to be resourceful and respectful and confident individuals. I see them in leadership roles in the communities and businesses to which they belong. And I picture them as problem solvers of tomorrow.
Wonderful. That's really, it kind of encapsulates a lot of our vision. Hits all the points that we try to, encourage and nourish here in the community. And so, Susan, you're at the elementary level. You're at Algrove. Stella, where is your office now?
I have a shared office with Susan at Algrove. We do a lot of collaborating. It's important for us to know what's happening K-12 because whatever successes occur at the end of high school with respect to going on into college or any other program, whether it's industry, an internship, the military, those successes begin in kindergarten. It's only with every grade level doing the work that needs to be done that our students can be where they should be at the end.
Just so it's kind of get an idea of where.
Yeah, and then I also have a space outside Mr. Pelling, the high school principal's office. I do work with teachers in the middle and high schools, and that's a great place to meet.
I know, I've seen you, so that's why I was just asking. Well, I could go on and on why East Granby is such a special place, and I have so many my own things to share. But I know, and you've mentioned a couple of the things already. But if you want to share with the folks that are watching, what to you makes East Granby special?
Well, one of the things I think that makes East Granby a special place to teach and learn and send your children is its size. It's a small district, and that allows us the opportunity to implement initiatives, interventions. We can do things quickly, and that's an advantage, especially when I think about working in some really large districts where there was so much bureaucracy, it would take forever to implement changes. And we do this well, and we do this based on data and informed decisions. We make some informed decisions, and we can do those quickly. I think that's really important. We are able, and Stella has touched on this, we keep abreast of all the state mandates and changes in standards, and we do this well. And I can say that confidently because I have participated, as Stella has, in many of the PCG modules, which the state provided this opportunity for teachers around the state to learn more, leaders to learn more about the changes with the Common Core standards. And I've been at meetings with so many teachers from other places and leaders from other places. And I always feel so proud when I realize how much work our small district does. And we do it well, and we do it in a timely fashion. I think that's something we can all be proud of. And the other thing is that I feel I work with some of the most amazing, dedicated professionals, both teachers and administrators. And that is, to me, the heart of any district, is the teachers, the personnel, the people who work with families and children and get the job done. And I just feel I work with some amazing professionals.
Stella, would like to add?
I will piggyback on what Susan said. I think that it's very important for people to understand that small offers a huge competitive advantage. It is no disadvantage to be a small school district. And the other thing is, we all know all the kids. I don't mean I do as a curriculum person, but every adult in every one of our 4 schools knows every child. That doesn't happen in huge districts. That doesn't happen in some districts where, so for everything that one might point to and say, oh, but East Granby's so small and lacks a this or a that, I would put what we have against, I would take that scale and say, okay, we lack these things, but we are huge in these things. I would take this any day.
I've found in the discussions that we've had with our earlier edition of your school and Dave Pelling, one of the things that we talked about, and it sounds like you would agree, or, what we're sharing here is that it's an individualized
very much so.
Learning environment, whereas we know each of the kids and we can get to know them, and if there isn't something that is readily in the path they want to go, there's resources and ways to get the student to their area of interest and involved, which is wonderful. Then keeping in the theme of special things about East Granby, there are some programs that know that you want to share with our viewers that you're involved with here in our schools. If so, do you want to?
Absolutely. We've had some conversations about this. Everyone in East Granby and Connecticut should know that we were the first to pilot and offer a 5th-year program. It's advantageous to our students, their families, local manufacturers, and connects us with Nantucket Community College and the manufacturing community. We know that manufacturing is a field where there are many, many tens of thousands of opportunities, solid middle-class jobs. And we have begun, as of last year, to introduce our students to the technologies in this field starting in 6th grade. At the end of the 5th year, so the way it works is students complete the regular high school program of studies, but during those 4 years they also take courses for which they can receive dual credit for high school graduation and credit with us at Community College. At the end of 4 years, they finished high school for an additional 3 semesters. That can be a summer, fall, winter, summer. They take courses and intern with local manufacturers. At the end of that 3rd semester, they have an associate's degree that costs them no money, that should they choose to go right to work, they can work, stay in the community. Should they choose to go on to school, in some cases the local manufacturer will pay for their further college education. They can move on to a University of Connecticut, to Central Connecticut State University. This is a phenomenal program, the first of its kind in the state, and Mr. Gallooni, who is the head of manufacturing technologies at Nantucket Community College, has been invited to speak in other states and describe our program to them. So we are extremely proud of this.
One of the details too about the program that I think is so obviously the opportunity and zero cost to the student, and they go into the university if they choose to go further their education, go in as a third-year student.
Absolutely.
So they're ahead of the game,
Yeah.
and again making on those applications and looking having something different to offer, and some really, I think it's I've used the word a lot, launching pad for a student in a lot of different directions. So, which is really exciting.
It is.
A wonderful program.
Yeah.
Susan, do you have a program you want to
I
mention?
do. I have something that I think that the East Granby community should be very proud of as well at the elementary level. We have this year, we are beginning a partnership with Columbia University's Teachers College Reading and Writing Project. And this is a partnership with Algrove and Seymour School, both schools. Both schools were designated project schools. And this is really something to be proud of. Many schools are on the waiting list to become a project school for years. And a partnership with Teachers College is a partnership that connects you with schools all over the globe. They have partnerships in Dubai and Paris and all over the place. And what they do though, the way that we have been able to distinguish ourselves, we are a very little district, as we have mentioned before, and we were able to distinguish ourselves to the representatives of the Teachers College by our hard work and our willingness to do the rigorous work that's involved in being part of a partnership with Teachers College. And this took us about 3 years, which was really a remarkably accelerated time period. We now have, being a project school, we now have dedicated staff developers, one at each school, who come and present model lessons. We have access to assessment resources. Teachers, every teacher at both of the elementary schools will be able to attend a one-day workshop in New York City at Columbia University to learn more about teaching and raising the rigor of their teaching in the classroom. We have curricular calendars available to help us plan our curriculum in reading and writing. And it's just a really fabulous opportunity for our schools. And this is really to raise the reading and the writing. This year, we are focusing, even though we are teaching, and it is a reading writing project, and we are using reading and writing units of study. This year, our focus for the staff development is on writing, and we have already had one. We've had the staff developer has come to each school already once this year, and it has already changed. Yes, the kind of teaching we're doing. It's really.
So this is the first year for to be a project school.
Yes. We started 3 years ago, and we did work using the units of study, but now we are officially a project school.
Well, that's a really good move.
Yes.
Wonderful. I'm sure our viewers, if they have an elementary student, or if they have a student in upper grades, we'll just want to know about these terrific programs.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing those things. Moving on to our next topic, what skills are going to be important to our students in the 21st century? I know when we were opening, Stella, you had made and Susan too, with the goals and the vision of the school. But what, thinking of the children in the elementary school and upper grades, what are they going to look like in that? What are they going to need in their 21st century skills?
Do you want to answer first, because the way we talk?
Sure. So there are many habits of mind that children need to develop in order to be successful. We have put them into 3 broad categories. So I'll talk about the broad categories, and Susan, you can highlight a few of them. So there are learning skills, for example, collaborating, knowing how to collaborate well, efficiently, effectively, work with others. That is a learning skill. There are literacy skills. We now talk about literacy not only from the perspective of knowing how to read, but we talk about information literacy. We talk about digital literacy. And there are life skills.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of skills that children need to be, we need to address the development of all those skills, and beginning in kindergarten. And I think two of the skills that I think are particularly important at the elementary level, one of them is communication. And communication, this is oral communication, it is communication with writing, it is discourse in disciplines across all content areas, beginning in kindergarten. And when we adopted the Common Core State Standards, they specifically articulate in their mathematical practices, for example, how important discourse is in learning mathematics. And children need to be able to come to an answer, but then to be able to explain that answer. And we start this right in kindergarten with things we call math talks. So children need to be able to talk about math.
So in front of their class
Yes.
and standing up or with their teacher in a small group.
Yes, or even what we do a lot of in elementary school at the elementary level is a lot of turn and talk with a partner. So children explain their answer to the person sitting next to them, or maybe to the children at their table. And it's a really nice model for children getting that confidence to share things in front of a larger group, because when you share with a partner or a small group and you defend your answer, then when you go to share with a larger group, you have the confidence that you have expressed this once, and the people, you have been able to defend your answer, and then now you share it in the larger group. It's a great model. We also, of course, Teachers College has a lot of the same emphasis on communication, and that is both oral communication and writing. And again, a lot of work with partnerships, small groups, so children have the chance to hone those communication skills. And also the next generation science standards. Although those have not been adopted by the state officially, it will be coming soon. We are already implementing the practices, and the practices for science also include discourse and asking questions and constructing arguments and finding evidence to support your opinion. And these are very important skills, and we start with these in kindergarten.
And so their skills, and through each level appropriate to the grade, is
absolutely
how it's implemented and encouraged. I know through my own children, the opportunity that they have to speak, and a lot of, which is something, that will carry forward in life, for years to come. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And the other skill that I thought I might mention that is also very important, and this is a K-12 importance, but for elementary students, is the critical thinking. And this is imperative in the 21st century, that children begin at kindergarten learning how to evaluate sources of information, to make, analyze, synthesize, evaluate information. There is so much information available for students and learners today. It dwarfs anything that previous generations ever had available. So more important than being a learner who can just spout and remember and memorize facts, is the idea of being able to find information and critically evaluate, is it the right information? Those are really important skills, and I think we do a good job, again, beginning with our youngest learners, where we have our math program includes a lot of authentic real-life problem solving, and we do things with Discovery Ed, again, some real problem solving that involve those critical skills and critical thinking. And our Teachers College program has, especially as you move into the intermediate, there's a lot of work with research-based opinion writing and asserting an opinion and researching an opinion and presenting the opinion and things like that require a lot of those critical thinking skills.
I think one of the things that we have noticed as a major overall observation with the new standards is that, we've said for many, many years that we are data rich, but we are information poor. And so all of the standards really are pushing for our learners to become much more proficient at processing the information that is available to them. So a lot of it has to do with learners becoming more aware of how they individually and collectively process information. And if they arrive at a conclusion, they need to be able to explain their thinking process, the thought process that drove them to that particular decision or conclusion. And so these are some skills that are life skills. These are things that they will have to do no matter where they are or what career they choose or, which college they attend or what branch of the military they go to or whatever they choose to do. It's important that they become masters at their own skills around processing information. So this is a universal path, if you will, no matter whose standards you're looking at or whether they're common or uncommon or core or not.
Right.
This whole business about students becoming really proficient at processing is very important.
If I could add one thing to that, in addition to the work that our classroom teachers do to help students grow in these skills, we also have our librarians' roles have evolved hugely. So, it was the librarian became the library media specialist. The library media specialist, that role has now evolved, and while the title is long, it is indicative of how much that person has a role in teaching our students, reinforcing, underscoring the importance of digital and information literacy. They help the classroom teachers in that work. They help the students in that work. Library, media, integration, and technology specialist.
Yeah. It's a very good example of how the environment has changed from schools that we remember or had attended. But it's very exciting. And Susan and Stella and Dr. Mahoney, I know we could just fill another whole other program. It's just so exciting to hear what's going on in our schools. Just to sort of summarize and to wrap up, points that you wanted to leave our viewers with, about the curriculum department. If you want to, for instance, if a parent, I always like to add to this program, if someone has a question or they want to ask, something about a curriculum, where should they go? Where should they call?
I would call the board office.
Okay.
Identify a question as having to do with curriculum, and then either of us would be happy to address, if it's elementary, Susan would be happy to address it.
Are there resources on Edline that talk about our curriculum as well, or you're on email?
Funny you should ask. Yes, and actually one of my goals this year is to work with our library media curriculum technology integration specialist. We are going to build a portion of a website that will be available to the public.
Oh, wonderful.
So that if your child, for example, is in 6th grade and you wonder what math is about in 6th grade, you will be able to click on a link, a tab, I'm not sure what it will look like yet, but you will be able to go directly to that place in the curriculum that is of interest to you.
Another thing, Michelle, is every month the superintendent's office publishes Edline, and that includes every month something, 2 articles about curriculum, specific to curriculum, an elementary article and a secondary article.
Very good to know, good resources, and we look forward to maybe talking with you again in another edition of Your Schools. And thank you for coming this afternoon, Stella.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you to both of you, and as I said before, awesome professionals to work with, very knowledgeable, very resourceful, and truly great collaborators. Thank you.
We thank our viewers for watching, and we look forward to another edition of Your Schools.
Thank you.
Just sit and chat.